in town, or at least the Tribe did everything they could to make it be one with their promotional things and their commercials. So you're gonna have to do obviously more than that, and then Bourne kind of added to that, and other quote unquote excitement. So yeah, maybe nothing short of the sale of the team is going to be that that straw that stirs the drink, or whatever you want to call it.
And my other takeaway from this season's attendance, and we'll end the conversation on this for now. We got all winter to keep talking about things, but what's more scary than the fact that the Tribe averaged a few hundred fans a game less this season after winning 92 games and going to the playoffs is the fact that this Indian season had the most promotionally packed schedule, I believe it's the most expensive promotional item schedule the Indians have ever done based on pure volume and numbers. If you look, they had more fireworks nights, more giveaways, more of a promotional schedule than I believe they've ever undertaken before, which are gimmicks to prop that average up a little bit. I mean, you prop those weekends up when every weekend it seems like there's another rock and blast and another fireworks night, and you're adding 5,000-10,000 people that only came for that. They backloaded this schedule with promotional stuff this year. I remember in the winter them sending me the release and saying there's going to be more promotional giveaways than ever before. So with all that, let's imagine how much less it may have been if you didn't increase the promotional schedule the way you did, if you did in rock and blasts and firework nights and things like that.
Yeah, you're right, and I think we can go back to Al Chimickella's interview with Mark Shapiro in the off season during spring training, where it's clearly this is what we feel we have to do here. This is what we feel we have, and that's why I think you can expect nothing but the same or even more. It's hard to imagine more going into next season. This is what the front office feels they need to do with absolute necessity to have something, even if it's dollar dogs or if it's fireworks or if it's something bobbleheads, that they're giving something away to get people out to the park, which tells you and me, lifelong baseball fans, that you're dragging people to the park, but maybe for all the wrong reasons, not because they're baseball fans, but because you're giving some freebie thing away. So maybe it requires a rethinking, because if you had more promotions than ever before and you still drew less people, then your theory that promotions draw people to the park might need to be reworked.
Absolutely. What do you think? I mean, we know that this day is coming sometime in the next, unless, like I said, you want to talk about Team of Destiny, you overcome this one, and then we can use the phrase Team of Destiny. You win 4 while Kansas City loses 5, then we'll talk about something next week. But what do you think? Does it last one more day? Do they go out here and have they been broken by the last 2 days? Do you think they go out here and for one more night, do they put up a fight and keep hope alive?
Well, as Yogi Berra said, it's hard to make predictions, especially about the future. But
that's a good one.
It's I just look at it this way: if we win this game tonight, you win the season series against Kansas City, and that way you'll have won the season series against all 3 of the 4 division rivals. I'd like to grab this game tonight and go in and play some games against Tampa Bay. I'm going to be there on Sunday for the final game and just say goodbye to this team for another year. But I don't think that anything's going to happen to change the way that it looks right now. No matter who wins the game tonight, I don't see Kansas City losing out. I don't see the Indians winning out. So I think if that means they're broken, yeah, I guess they're broken. You've kept the faith. You've kept the faith through thick and thin, and but I think maybe it's about time to realize that we're not a playoff team this year, and as long as we're running Chris Jimenez and JB Shuck and Tyler Holt out there every night, we're not gonna be.
I get it, man. I was one of the many that tweeted "Shuck me" when I saw JB Shuck out there
That's
at
good.
crunch time. Man,
I might have to steal that. Yeah.
I'm just saying, at that point, what else can you say? But what the shuck is going on, man? Exactly. Indians. But seriously, hey, let's see what happens. Hopefully, they can win this one tonight. And regardless, there's a good series coming up this weekend with Tampa Bay and a good way to end the season. And I'll tell you, I'm scared to see how many people show up this weekend, but I would be pleasantly surprised if they got a couple of good. They deserve a couple of good houses to send them off into the winter and saying, "Hey, man, you guys played Chris Jimenez and JB Shuck, and you still almost got us to the playoffs. For that alone, you deserve a couple of standing ovations." I don't think Cleveland will give it to
them. Especially Saturday night, Jerry, when Kluber makes his last start.
Yes.
Because this is a guy that, along with Michael Brantley, I tell you, I've just enjoyed so much watching Brantley play baseball this year. He's just been a delight to watch, and you can say the exact same thing about Kluber. They're clearly the stars of this team, the bright lights in this season. It's been a long time since we've had performances like that from both of those guys. The season Brantley has had and Kluber both have just been so remarkable. They both deserve, if they picked an all-pro team at the end of the season in baseball, and I know some people do, both those guys deserve to be on it and the first team because there's just you can't overstate how huge those seasons have been.
I'll tell you, that'll be an interesting test of what kind of what level of baseball fans there are in Cleveland. You brought it up Saturday night. I want to see what kind of house shows up after the once-in-a-lifetime season that Corey Kluber put together for the Indians here this year. Hopefully not once-in-a-lifetime. Hopefully he's got another one coming. But point being, you don't see this very often. I want to see how many fans show up Saturday night to say, man, thank you for a hell of a season, and I'm glad you play for our team. I think it would be maybe fitting, but it would be very sad if there's 10,000 fans there Saturday night to see that. I wouldn't be surprised, but hopefully they surprise me and double or triple that number on Saturday night.
Yeah, that would be nice. My tickets happen to be for Sunday, but if I've got nothing else going on that night. Now, the Buckeyes are playing at 6 o'clock, so I'll probably not be heading down to Progressive Field that night, but I'll be there the next day to sign them off for the season.
Well, you're different. You've gone to a ton of games. I'm talking to these cats that have done nothing but go on their Twitter every night after the games, and I tweet that to people sometimes when they complain. I'll just be like, hey, maybe you should get off Twitter and go to the game, and then maybe I'll listen to what you've got to say about the team you don't even watch. Man, get out of here with that. Anyways,
yeah, exactly. Some of us sit down and sit at the game, and we're on Twitter at the game. So I saw somebody tweeting the other night. There's more people tweeting about the Indians than there are sitting in the stands at Progressive Field, and I happened to be there that night. And I said, well, some of us are doing both. We're sitting at the game, we're tweeting at the same time.
You got all the new Wi-Fi and everything, and we're taking advantage of it down here, man, and that's the new thing. Instead of walking over to section 156 and saying, hey, Steve, how you doing? Now you just tweet him and go, hey, look across the diamond. That's me. Oh, hey, how you doing? And you tweet back at each other, man. It's a different age for seeing your buddies at the ballpark. Hey, you brought up the Buckeyes. Let's segue off of the Indians into that as they had a bye week. They're getting ready to get back at it. As I said earlier, I can't lie. My new favorite college football player, just based on his name, is Gunnar Kiel. Because if I was creating a quarterback at birth, that's what I think I might name him, is Gunner. I mean, that's a custom-made quarterback name right there. And him and the Bearcats offense taking on the Buckeyes here. 44 consecutive victories against other Ohio teams. Does Ohio State make it 45? I know a few weeks ago you and I were talking about perhaps Cincinnati being a team that could put a scare into the Buckeyes. I know you were kind of fading off of that last time we talked.
Yeah, I think that the Buckeyes are going to prevail here Saturday, but you're right about Gunner. It's a great name for a QB, obviously, but once he finally decided where he wanted to go to college, he was I think he committed to LSU at first, and then he ended up decommitting and committing at Notre Dame, and then he left there and ended up at Cincinnati. So he finally got his right uniform on, I think, and he'll probably show up in a Bearcats uniform Saturday night. He's a big-time quarterback. I mean, he's got a big arm, and he has really nice receivers. This Shaq Washington and Mikhail McKay and guys like that are solid players. They have some size at the receiver positions, and we'll see it. And I would expect a high-scoring game because as good as they might be on offense, and we really don't know because they played two bad MAC teams, Toledo and Miami, and they're only two games they've played. and Miami has lost 20 games in a row, and Cincinnati only beat them by a touchdown. That's why I'm kind of tempering my fear of them, which I had 3 or 4 weeks ago. I just saw this as a game that was maybe a trap game for Ohio State. After watching Ohio State massacre Kent and watching Cincinnati, struggle to win over a team that's lost 20 straight, the Miami Redhawks, who are terrible, I'm not quite as concerned. But I do think that the one thing we know for sure, Jerry, it'll be the first test of the Chris Ash new Ohio State pass defense, the first true test that they've had to see if they are in fact improved over the miserable pass defensive scheme that they've run the last couple of years. So that'll be interesting to see. The Buckeyes, Cincinnati has a terrible defense as well. They've given up. They gave up 400 and some yards to lead a 485 or something.
Like 30
Actually,
points a game or
they're
something.
giving up an average of 463 yards per game. Total defense. They're ranked 106th or 108th or something in the country on the defensive statistics out of 120 some programs. So I think the Buckeyes are going to have their way with them when the Buckeyes have the ball. The key to the game, I think, will be can the Buckeye defense, put enough heat on Gunnar Kiel and play enough pass defense against those receivers to slow them down and turn the ball over a couple of times and pull away from them. But we could be looking at a very high-scoring game. I don't know what the over/under is, but it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 80, I would think, because there's going to be a lot of throwing the ball and moving the ball up and down the field on Saturday night.
Well, yeah, both teams combined averaging 84 points a game here, but defense definitely a lower level over there for Cincinnati. And I'm glad you brought up that about Chris Ash and the real first test of this, because I talk to people all the time off the air, and some guys just go. This is where stats drive me crazy, because some guys just look at stats, and they'll point out to the fact, well, I'm not that worried about Cincinnati because Ohio State's one of the best teams against the pass this year. And I'm like, because they haven't played anybody that's passed against them, because they don't have to, because guys are just running the ball. And you play Navy, and I mean, come on, man. This is not exactly a clear set of statistics that you're looking at here. This is the first time that a capable, at least, quarterback is going to go out there and really put a test to these guys. And we know how much that was a focus, as you said, in the offseason, and then really just a complete overhaul there from the way the season ended last year. So this is going to be, like you said, that first real test of seeing if they can stop the pass, if they can get off the field when they need to, all of those things. I'm not sure how much of a test that it's going to be because of who they played. Like you said, you talk about a team that played a couple of MAC teams, and I mean, yeah, you're averaging 45 points a game, but look at who you're playing. You also gave up 30 points a game against lesser competition as well, which leads me to believe I think they can score some points on the Buckeyes, but I just don't think they can score as many as they're going to give up. I think the Buckeyes will. This will be more like what I thought the last game would be. I think this will be a game where maybe the two teams go back and forth in the early portion of the game, and then little by little Ohio State begins to pull away and really exert themselves in the second half.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they went up in their first game. They played Toledo, and they were ahead 34-0. Well, about a quarter later, they turn around and they're up a touchdown at 41-34. And they ended up pulling away and scoring a couple more touchdowns after that and won that game 58-34. But and then again to struggle last week over Miami, beat them. I think it was I can't remember what the score was in the Miami game, but they only won it by a touchdown. And this is like I say, two bad teams. As far as the Buckeyes go, yeah, Virginia Tech was really the only team that had anything remotely resembling a passing attack. They didn't pile up big numbers against the Buckeyes passing, but they converted an awful lot of third downs and some big third downs. They made plays, in other words, in the passing game when they had to, enough to obviously win that game. As far as the Navy doesn't even try to throw the ball, I think they had 4 passing attempts the entire game, and Kent State was just incapable of throwing the ball against anybody. That's one of the worst FCS football teams I've seen in a decade. So, yeah, Virginia Tech is really the only capable passing team they faced, and those guys had a good balance and only converted when they really had to, but they were able to do that against Ohio State and enough to pull it out.
you know what? Something that we hadn't really mentioned that I would watch out for offensively for Ohio State is we've